uncover the picture, lunar phases. I can demonstrate and predict the sequence of events in the lunar cycle. So, what do you notice here in the picture? I see light on the right. I noticed just a little bit of illumination. What else do you see in the picture? Now I see more illumination. I predict the next section will be half of a moon. What else do you see in the picture? Now I see half of the moon being illuminated. Predict what the next picture will be. I predict it will be more than half. Lunar phase represented in the picture is a waxing gibbous. I know this because I have light on the right. When you have light on the right, you're waxing and it's gibbous shape when it's more than half. Let's practice. Every 2 moon phases takes about a week. So let me minimize and get my web paint and show you a little more in detail. Every 2 moon phases takes 7 days or 1 week. So if I'm here on a new moon, 1, 2, that's a week or 7 days. 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 So for the moon to do a revolution around the earth, it takes 4 weeks or 1 month. Each major phase lasts about 1 to 2 days. So a new moon lasts 1 to 2 days. First quarter, 1 to 2 days. Full moon, 1 to 2 days. Third quarter, 1 to 2 days. In between phases last about 3 to 5 days. So your waxing crescents and your waning crescent will last 3 to 5 days, and your gibbuses will last 3 to 5 days. New phase happens about every 4 days. So a new moon phase is going to happen approximately every 4 days. Spring tide, straight line. So spring tides occur in a new moon and a full moon position. That's where you have the greatest difference in tidal ranges. You have very high tides and very low tides throughout the day, 2 highs and 2 lows. So the tidal range, there's a great difference. Neap tides happen at a 90-degree angle. So that's going to happen at a first quarter phase and a third quarter phase. That's where you have the least difference between tidal ranges. You can't really see a difference between the high and low tide. All right, look at the calendar below. It shows 2 full moons on the 1st and on the 31st. Write your birth date here. So I'm going to write my birth date in and practice as if it was me. So my birthday is on the 8th. Now I'm going to find my birth date on the calendar, which is the 8th. Okay. And using what you know about the moon phases, determine the moon phase on your birth date. Remember that the moon changes to a new phase about every 4 days. Name the lunar phases in the red box on the calendar. So if I have a full moon here, a full moon is going to last 1 to 2 days. Okay, and then I'm going to start to wane. I'm going to lose illumination little by little. So here I can predict that it's going to be a waning gibbous. Waning because I'm losing the light on the right, and gibbous because it's still going to be more than half. Okay, so I'm going to have a waning gibbous, waning gibbous, waning gibbous. About here on 7 days, I'm going to be at one of those major phases. So this would be my third quarter phase. And that third quarter phase is going to last, okay, 1 to 2 days. So I'm going to have a third quarter on my birthday. So that third quarter is going to last there. Again, I'll have that third quarter here. So then I continue to wane. So I'm going to be a waning crescent, waning crescent, waning crescent. Right about here, I'm still I'm a waning crescent in here. But if I get about 7 more days, I'm going to be at a new moon. So here I would say that's my new moon. And then my new moon would probably last for 2 days. Then I'm going to find 7 more days. 7 more days from now, I should be a first quarter. Okay, and then after a first quarter, I'm waxing, right? So I'm going to grow in illumination. So here should be a waxing gibbous. Okay, and then right about here, I would have probably my full moon again. So I might be off just a little bit, but I would go back. So pretty much what I'm looking at is every 7 days, I'm going to be at a major phase. So here, maybe my new moon lasts a couple of days after my third quarter, and then I'm my first quarter a couple of days. I'd still be in a waxing gibbous, then my full moon. Okay, so just a way to look at that on a calendar. Think every major phase is about 7 days. Okay, going to our connection questions. We could answer these together. The difference in position of the illumination between the first and third quarter is in your first quarter, you're waxing, so you have illumination on the right hand side. So, yes, they are both half moons, but the light is on the right in a first quarter. In a third quarter, you're losing that light on the right, and it's still half of a moon. Number 2, the difference between waxing and waning is waxing is when you're growing in illumination on the right, waning is where you're losing that illumination on a right. The difference between crescent and gibbous is in the shape. A crescent would be a small sliver of illumination, and a gibbous is a shape where you're more than half in illumination. Is your birthday closer to which kind of tide, a spring tide or a neap tide? I'll have to go back here, and here's my birthday. So I would be pretty close to a neap tide since I'm at a third quarter. Remember, first and third quarters are where you have your neap tides. And the difference between a spring tide and a neap tide, spring tide is when the moon and the earth and the sun are in a straight line, spring tide, straight line. That's where you have the greatest effect in tidal ranges. You're going to have 2 very high tides and 2 very low tides in a day. A neap tide happens at 90-degree angles where the moon, the earth, and the sun are at a 90-degree angle. And there you have the least effect between tidal ranges. You can't really tell whether it's high tide or a low tide.